All right, so we have a pretty short lesson today. We're going to talk about angle of elevation and angles of depression. Just as a quick review, because you're going to need to know this for angles of elevation and angles of depression. What does this stand for? SOHCAHTOA. What does that stand for, though? Sine, cosine, and tangent. And sine is what?
Opposite.
Cosine is?
Adjacent over hypotenuse.
And tangent is?
Opposite.
Okay, most of what we're going to focus on today is using tangent. Alright, so for the most part, what we're focusing on today is using tangent. Remember that when something is opposite, that means across from. So if we're looking at angle B, which leg is opposite angle B? 4.2. And then which one is adjacent? 6.5. The AB line is always the hypotenuse because it's the longest leg and it's across from the right angle. Okay, so that's always going to be your hypotenuse. So for the most part, what we're talking about today, we're going to use tangent. All right, so angles of elevation and angles of depression. Angles of depression, not angles that make you sad, but angles that are going down. Okay, so think when you're thinking about depressed, it means you're like bummed out. That means you're going down. All right, angles of elevation are angles that go up. So, for example, the angle of elevation and the angle of depression are formed when you have a line of sight, and a line of sight just means literally like from your eyes looking straight out, that's your line of sight. So right now, like David is in my line of sight. If I look this way, Chelsea is in my line of sight. Okay, and also David. Okay, so angles of depression and elevation are formed from the line of sight, which is this dotted line right here, because it's always straight out, and then the line going either up or down. So elevation would be from the guys that are sitting in this air traffic control tower. If they were looking this way, an angle of elevation would be up to the plane, whereas an angle of depression would be from the guy in the plane down to the control tower. Does that make sense? So elevation would be if you were looking up, depression would be if you're going down. Okay? So when you're identifying those, you're looking for angles that are going up and down. They have to be formed by horizontal lines. So those horizontal lines have to come from a person or a line of sight. So for example, in this picture, is angle 3 an angle of elevation or an angle of depression, and who is it coming from? So angle 3 is coming from where? It's coming from the bird because it's formed by that horizontal line. And is the bird looking up or down? Down, so that means it's an angle of depression, okay? So this would be an angle of depression. All right, what about angle 5?
Neither. Depression.
Angle of 5 is also an angle of depression because it's formed by the man looking which way?
Down.
Angle 4 would be what?
Elevation.
Elevation, because it's formed by the man looking which way? Up. Okay, so this is an angle of elevation,
Oh, I'm looking back on it.
and then this is an angle of depression.
Depression means like going down.
Going down, yeah. And then angle 6 would be what?
Elevation.
Elevation, because it's a straight line, and then imagine there's like a man sitting in the top of a tree. He's looking up. Okay, so this is an angle of elevation.
It's not going up.
What?
It's not going up.
What's going on?
It's tight.
His sight is going up?
Elevation.
Yeah, elevation means going up. Depression means going down. So again, number 3, it has to be depression, not elevation. Even though it kind of looks like it could be coming from the man, remember that the horizontal line is the one that has to be a part of it. So if this is your horizontal line, then it would have to be going down because it's depression. Okay, so for example, we can use these angles to determine distances. So imagine somebody is standing at point A, so there's a person standing right here, and they are looking at point P. So they're looking up here. The line of sight would be this segment AP. So is angle A an angle of elevation or depression? Elevation, because this person is looking which way? The person is looking up. So you've got your dotted line right here. and they're looking up. If I want to find how far away they are from a different segment, I can use this angle to figure it out. So let's say I'm looking for this right here. What's the relationship between angle A and this side?
Opposite.
What's the relationship between angle A and this side? Adjacent. So what measure can I use then? Tan.
Tan.
So it would be tan of what? 41
And 4,000. 4,000.
equals
4,000.
4,000 over
1.
x, because that's the one I'm looking for. So then how do I solve this? Multiply tan 41 by x. So first thing you have to do is tan 41 on your calculator to get that decimal.
And I get
0.89.
86. 87. Are we rounding, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So 0.87x equals 4,000. So then how would I finish that? So on your calculator, which one goes first? 4,000 goes first. Good. So 0.87 goes second. So 4,000 divided by 0.87. So then x must equal what? Say that again, sorry. 4,597.7. So that's how far the person is from the base of whatever this is. Okay, and again, you're typically going to use tangent here because you're either looking for how tall this is or how far away they are from something. So that's why we use angles of elevation and depression. It doesn't really matter if it's an angle of elevation. If it's an angle of depression, though, it gets a little bit trickier, and I'll show you why in just a second. Okay. All right, so let's say, for example, a forest ranger is in a 90-foot observation tower, so he's standing right here, and he sees a fire, which is over here. The angle of depression to the fire is 7 degrees. What is the horizontal distance between the tower and the fire? So I'm looking for x, and I have 90 feet, so I know it's 90 feet tall. However, the angle of depression is right here, right? Is that inside this triangle? No? So I need to figure out the angle inside the triangle, otherwise I can't use that. So if I know this right here, how many degrees does this have to be? 90. So how could I find the actual angle inside the triangle? Subtract from, not from 180. How big is this angle? 90. So if this is 7, what would this have to be? 83. Good. Okay, so angles of elevation, you're going to use that. Angles of depression, you have to subtract from 90. Always. Always. Angles of depression, always subtract from 90. Tanya? And the reason for that is because you're never looking for, you're looking for a side of the triangle, and the angle of depression will never actually be inside the triangle. So subtract from 90. Okay, so then, now we just need to figure out this long side right here. So what's my relationship between 83 and 90? If this side is 90, this is opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse?
Opposite.
This 90 right here.
Oh,
Adjacent, and then the x is opposite. So again, I'm going to use what measure? Typically you're using tan here, because you never really care about the actual hypotenuse. Alright, so tan 83 over 1 equals opposite over 90. And then this one's even easier because here you don't even have to divide, you just have to what? Multiply. So you're just going to do tan 83 times 90. You're looking for the horizontal. You're looking, yeah.
Wait, did we close parentheses 83?
You do tan 83 close parentheses times 90.
And I would get 732.
Exactly.
33. There we go.
Alright, so 733 or 732.6. Because you're looking for kind of how far away he is from the fire. And you don't take into account, like, he wouldn't go this way because he's not on like a, what are those things called?
That's wrong. That's wrong.
Zip line, yes. You would have to go down and go that way.
That's wrong, that's 7.
Okay.
Wait, is it
All right.
7?
7:33. Like I said, when you're doing these, I'm not that worried about like if you're off by 0.2. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna give you guys a practice sheet. You can either do it at your boards or you can do it at your seats. If you'd rather do it at your seats, that's fine. My advice for you when you're doing this though is to draw a picture of it. I would start with this side that has the pictures on it. Okay? But before you do that, try the exit ticket because I want you to do that first. Can you take one and pass it down?